the USA this time around.
Let's face it, heroic move, but if not for Connor Hellebuyck, there's no way Jack Hughes gets that opportunity. Let's bring Craig Button into this conversation. Craig, Connor McDavid, breakaway, stopped by Hellebuyck. Macklin Celebrini, breakaway, stopped by Connor Hellebuyck. No doubt he was the MVP of the gold medal game, Craig?
I don't think there's any question. I think the only reason the USA have the gold medals hanging around their neck is because of Connor Hellebuyck's brilliance. And it was brilliant. Yes, Nathan MacKinnon hit the outside of the post and didn't score. But you think about the glorious scoring chances that Canada had time and time and time again, and from their best players. And they really worked Connor Hellebuyck. And Connor Hellebuyck worked just as hard to make sure that that puck wasn't getting...
Connor Hellebuyck just did exactly what Team USA needed in the Olympic final. Facing 40, 2 shots from Canada, he stopped 40. One of them, the gold medal game remained tied for most of the night because of his performance. When overtime arrived, the score was still 1-1. The United States won 2, one in Hellebuyck's saves made that moment possible. The 2026 Winter Olympics men's hockey final brought NHL players back to the Olympic stage. The matchup featured the United States and Canada, 2 longtime rivals in international hockey. Canada entered the game with offensive depth and shot volume. The United States relied on defensive structure and goaltending stability. From the opening period, Canada generated pressure. The Canadians recorded more shots in the first frame. Hellebuyck tracked pucks through traffic and controlled rebounds. Despite sustained offensive zone time from Canada, the United States left the first period with a 1-0 lead after a goal from Matt Boldy. Hellebuyck stopped every Canadian attempt in that period. In the second period, Canada continued to test him. Defenseman Cale Makar scored late in the period to tie the game 1-1. The shot beat Hellebuyck during a sequence of sustained pressure. It was the only puck that crossed the line against him during the entire game. After that goal, he denied every additional attempt. Through 2 periods, Canada held a clear advantage in shots on goal. Hellebuyck faced attempts from the slot, the blue line, and net front scrambles. He maintained positioning and square angles to shooters. The United States defense cleared rebounds quickly, but the volume of attempts remained high. The third period carried gold medal implications with the score tied. Canada pressed for the lead. Hellebuyck stopped multiple chances during close-range sequences. He denied attempts during transition rushes and controlled loose pucks in heavy traffic. Neither team scored in the third period. Regulation ended 1-1. The official stat line showed Canada with 42 total shots on goal. Hellebuyck recorded 41 saves. That resulted in a save percentage above .970 in the championship game. The United States recorded 23 shots in total. The statistical gap in attempts emphasized the role of the American goaltender. Overtime followed under Olympic medal round rules using a 3-on-3 format. The open ice increased the speed of play. The United States began the extra period with possession. Just 1 minute and 41 seconds into overtime, Jack Hughes scored the game-winning goal. The 2-1 result secured Olympic gold for the United States. Hellebuyck's performance preserved the tie long enough for that opportunity. Without the 41 saves in regulation, the game would not have reached overtime. His stops in the second and third periods prevented Canada from extending the score beyond 1-1. Sidney Crosby did not play for Canada in the final due to injury. Despite his absence, Canada's roster featured experienced NHL forwards and defensemen. The shot total reflected sustained offensive pressure even without Crosby in the lineup. The victory marked the first Olympic gold medal for the United States men's hockey team since 1980. That year remains the previous gold for the program. The 2026 final ended a 46-year gap between Olympic titles. Hellebuyck's role in the outcome centered on consistency. He stopped shots from distance and handled deflections near the crease. During penalty kills and even strength play, he remained composed. No power play goals were scored against him in the game. Special teams did not determine the result. As the overtime goal ended, the contest teammates skated toward Hughes. Hellebuyck remained in his crease before joining the celebration. The scoreboard confirmed the final score, United States 2, Canada, 1 overtime. During post-game celebrations, American players carried Johnny Gaudreau's jersey on the ice in tribute. The team gathered for the medal ceremony shortly after. Hellebuyck received his gold medal alongside teammates following the official confirmation of the result. The final numbers remain clear. Canada outshot the United States 42-23. Hellebuyck stopped 41 of those 42 attempts. The only Canadian goal came from Cale Makar in the second period. Jack Hughes scored at 1 minute and 41 seconds of overtime to secure the win. Connor Hellebuyck delivered the performance required in a championship game. 41 saves in a 2-1 overtime victory defined the Olympic final. The United States secured its third Olympic gold medal in men's hockey, and the record reflects Hellebuyck's 41 save effort as a central factor in that outcome.
Okay, listen, Team Canada is terrifying in this Olympic.
This team is stacked, Craig.
There's no question that it's stacked. I mean, we talk about McDavid, McKinnon, Makar on the blue. I mean, McKinnon and McDavid are the best two forwards on the planet, and Makar's the best defenseman on the planet. And I even talked about Sam Reinhart, 50 goal scorer, Brayden Point, 50 goal scorer. It's an outstanding lineup.
Just think of the luxury as a coach. You talk about like momentum, throwing line after line. Just the idea of throwing McKinnon out there and then McDavid afterwards. It's incredible for a coach.
Team Canada, they're only going to get better from here. They were really sharp. They had things really figured out in the offensive zone, and that is only going to get better. That's only going to become more dangerous for the opposition as this tournament goes on.
Connor McDavid at full speed.
The wait is over.
It's been a really long time. We need to get best on best back at those big games where it's country against country and it becomes more than hockey.
Opening night of the Four Nations face-off.
Nathan MacKinnon attacking downhill. Sidney Crosby controlling possession below the goal line.
And Team Canada is victorious in the men's hockey preliminary round after defeating France 10-2, remaining undefeated as they advance to the quarterfinals of the 2026 Winter Games.
Canada closed the Olympic group stage with a 10-2 win over France. They finished 3-0. They secured the top overall seed. They outscored opponents 20-3.
Connor McDavid, incredible, on track to shatter the Olympic record for points. He is just dominating out there, as you can see here. Feels a little crazy to ask this question of you, but as the games now get more important, is it possible, Brian?
McDavid drives the attack. His acceleration through the neutral zone forces defenders to retreat early. When defenders back off, passing lanes open. Against France, his pace disrupted coverage before structure could settle. His presence shapes defensive positioning on every shift.
So let's talk to Craig Button about this Canadian win over France 10-2. They get the first overall seed heading to the quarterfinals. Craig, here's the amazing stat. 3 games have been played, and Connor McDavid's already set the record for most points by a Canadian in an Olympic tournament, which is mind-boggling. He's also just 2 points away from tying Teemu Selanne's Olympic record. What's the first thing that comes to mind, Craig, when
MacKinnon brings direct force. He attacks north-south and releases the puck quickly. He does not delay at the blue line. He pushes defenders into their own zone. In the preliminary round, he combined speed and physical strength to generate scoring chances off transition and extended zone time. His tempo influences the entire bench.
Sidney Crosby is aging like a fine wine.
Offensively, defensively, through the neutral zone, best player in the game.
I'm telling you, the best winner right now, Sidney Crosby.
Welcome to the Crosby Show, Canada. Slap me, silly, Sidney.
From Rimouski in the Quebec Major Junior League, Sidney Crosby.
Crosby operates differently. He controls space in tight areas. He protects the puck along the boards and below the hash marks. He wins possession in face-off situations. During the group stage, he added another Olympic goal to his record. 16 years after the 2010 overtime winner, he continues to contribute in structured moments. Canada's offense is not built on one style. McDavid creates separation. MacKinnon pressures with speed and power. Crosby maintains control when pace slows. That balance prevents defensive predictability. Macklin Celebrini adds youth to the mix. He has already scored in this tournament. He attacks without hesitation. His integration into the lineup shows Canada's willingness to trust young talent alongside veterans. The combination of experience and emerging skill strengthens roster flexibility. The 20-3 goal differential across 3 games reflects more than scoring. It reflects defensive discipline. Canada limited extended defensive zone shifts. They transitioned quickly from retrieval to attack. Opponents struggled to sustain pressure. Special teams supported that margin. The power play moved the puck efficiently. Entries were controlled rather than dumped. On the penalty kill, Canada cleared rebounds and limited cross-slot passes. Structure remained intact. Jordan Binnington provided steady goaltending. He was not required to compensate for repeated breakdowns. His positioning remained consistent. Rebound control reduced second opportunities. Stability in net allowed the skaters to maintain aggressive pace. The return of NHL participation changes tournament intensity. The last Olympic gold for Canada with a full NHL roster came in 2014. Before that, Crosby ended the 2010 final in overtime against the United States. The 2026 team now carries that historical context into a deeper field of NHL caliber opponents. The group stage did not expose weaknesses. Canada maintained possession advantages and controlled game flow. They did not rely solely on rush chances. They generated offense through cycling and defensive activation as well. Through 3 games, Canada established identity. Speed initiates attack. Depth sustains it. Experience stabilizes it. McDavid commands attention on every shift. McKinnon dictates pace changes. Crosby manages pressure moments. Celebrini contributes early in his Olympic debut. The roster functions as a coordinated unit rather than isolated star performances. The preliminary phase is complete. The top seed is secured. The numbers are clear. 3-0 record, 20 goals scored, 3 allowed. The foundation is established. The next stage introduces elimination pressure. The knockout stage changes the environment. There is no recovery window. One loss ends the tournament. The margin between advancement and elimination can be a single mistake. This is where Crosby's value increases. In short tournaments, pace alone is insufficient. Possession under pressure becomes critical. Crosby wins defensive zone faceoffs late in periods. That reduces sustained pressure. He protects the puck to allow line changes. That preserves structure. These details do not appear on highlight reels, but they affect outcomes. McDavid remains the primary offensive catalyst. In open ice, he separates from coverage quickly. If Canada gains a turnover at the blue line, he converts it into an immediate chance. His speed forces penalty decisions from defenders who cannot match his acceleration. In elimination games, drawing penalties shifts momentum. McKinnon complements that with physical edge. He absorbs contact and maintains forward motion. When a game tightens and space decreases, he drives pucks toward the net rather than circling away. That approach generates rebounds and secondary scoring opportunities. His tempo prevents stagnation. Celebrini represents internal depth. Younger players often change games with direct play rather than hesitation. His willingness to shoot and attack off first touch forces defenders to respect secondary lines. That spreads defensive assignments. The 10-2 win over France demonstrated lineup distribution. 9 scorers in one game eliminate matchup targeting. Opponents cannot neutralize production by shadowing a single line. Depth extends into late shifts, where fatigue typically reduces output. Canada's 20-3 goal differential indicates both scoring efficiency and defensive containment. Opponents averaged 1 goal per game against them in the group stage. That containment supports offensive risk because recovery structure remains intact. The United States advances as well. They bring speed and scoring depth of their own. A potential meeting would feature elite NHL players on both sides. In that scenario, composure determines result. Crosby has operated in that setting before. In 2010, he finished an overtime play that secured gold. In 2014, he captained a roster that suppressed offensive threats through discipline. The context differs in 2026, but the requirement remains identical: manage decisive moments. Power play execution becomes decisive in elimination games. McDavid and McKinnon control half-wall entries. Crosby operates near the goal line and net front. That configuration creates layered options: seam pass, quick release, or low cycle reset. Structured repetition in the group stage prepares the unit for tighter officiating standards in knockouts. Penalty killing carries similar weight. Clearing rebounds prevents extended zone time. Quick pressure on puck carriers forces rush decisions. Canada limited cross-ice passing lanes in preliminary play. Replicating that discipline under pressure preserves narrow leads. Goaltending stability supports aggressive forechecking. Binnington's consistency allows defensemen to challenge entries without hesitation. Confidence in net reduces passive shifts. The bracket now defines path. As top overall seed, Canada avoids early high seed collision. That advantage reduces immediate risk but does not eliminate pressure. Every opponent advances with elimination urgency. Canada's identity entering the quarterfinals is defined by three elements: speed, distribution, and experience. McDavid supplies separation. McKinnon supplies force. Crosby supplies control. Celebrini and secondary scorers supply balance. The numbers from the group stage establish baseline performance. The elimination round determines sustainability. If Canada advances deep enough to face the United States, the game will narrow, pace compresses, mistakes magnify. In those conditions, puck management outweighs highlight plays. Crosby's role becomes central in that environment, not as primary scorer, but as regulator of tempo and possession. McDavid accelerates transitions. McKinnon pressures defensive gaps. Crosby stabilizes sequence and situational awareness. The preliminary round demonstrated capacity. The knockout stage will measure execution. Team Canada.
The wait is over.
It's been a really long time. We need to get best on best back at those big games where it's country against country and it becomes more than hockey.
Opening night of the Four Nations face-off.
And heading into the 2026 Winter Olympics in Milan, no nation enters the tournament with more structure, continuity, and proven success. NHL players have returned after 12 years away. Canada arrives fresh off an international title, with leadership locked in and a roster already tested. For the rest of the field, this creates a problem that begins before the first puck drop. This Winter Olympics marks a turning point for men's ice hockey. For the first time since 2014, the National Hockey League paused its season to allow full player participation. According to NHL and Olympic officials, 148 NHL players are competing in the men's tournament, with more than 120 making their Olympic debut. No country benefits more from this return than Canada. Canada enters the tournament following its victory at the Four Nations face-off. In the final, Canada defeated the United States 3-2 in overtime. What began as a short international event became the defining reference point for Olympic selection. The Olympic roster, leadership group, and deployment strategy were all shaped directly by that tournament. Continuity defines Canada's approach. The coaching staff traveling to Italy is unchanged. John Cooper returns as head coach. His assistant coaches are current NHL head coaches and longtime Hockey Canada staff. The management group remains largely intact, with Doug Armstrong serving as the primary decision-maker in roster selection while consulting other NHL general managers. This structure removes uncertainty. Canada did not enter the Olympic cycle searching for answers. It arrived with a recent international blueprint that had already produced results. Leadership is centralized and established. Hockey Canada confirmed Sidney Crosby as team captain. Connor McDavid and Cale Makar were named alternate captains. This leadership group was finalized before Canada's first on-ice practice in Milan. The same trio held those roles during the Four Nations tournament. Between Crosby, McDavid, and Makar, the leadership group accounts for 7 Art Ross trophies, 5 Hart trophies, 7 Ted Lindsay awards, 3 Rocket Richard trophies, 4 Conn Smythe trophies, 1 Calder trophy, 2 Norris trophies, and 4 Stanley Cup championships. No other team in the tournament carries a leadership core with comparable collective awards. Crosby brings Olympic history. He captained Canada to gold in 2014 and scored the overtime goal that decided the 2010 gold medal game in Vancouver. McDavid enters his first Olympic Games with NHL participation after missing the 2018 and 2022 tournaments due to league absence. Makar arrives as the reigning backbone of Canada's blue line and led all players in ice time at the Four Nations tournament. At the top of the roster, Canada separates itself immediately. Connor McDavid, Nathan MacKinnon, and Cale Makar represent a tier of talent unmatched in the field. During the Four Nations face-off, no Canadian forwards logged more ice time than McDavid and MacKinnon. No player in the entire tournament logged more ice time than Makar. These are not situational stars. They are deployed continuously. At any point in a game, one of them is on the ice. Canada integrated youth without altering its structure. Macklin Celebrini was named to the Olympic roster, becoming the youngest player in Canadian men's Olympic history. This season, he ranks behind only McDavid and McKinnon among Canadian forwards in NHL scoring. Hockey Canada confirmed that Celebrini is expected to play in the top 6. Celebrini also arrives with established chemistry. He previously played alongside Sidney Crosby in international competition. His role does not require him to carry the team. It allows him to operate within an already defined system. Depth is where the Olympic problem becomes unavoidable. Every Canadian forward line contains players who would qualify as first-line options on many NHL teams. Canada's fourth line includes skaters who regularly play top 6 roles at the league level. There are no shifts designed to survive. Every shift is built to dictate play. Canada's center depth illustrates this imbalance. Connor McDavid, Nathan MacKinnon, Sidney Crosby, and Bo Horvat anchor the middle of the lineup. In short tournaments, center depth determines puck possession, matchup control, and special teams efficiency. Few opponents carry answers at all 4 positions. On defense, Canada opted for continuity. All 8 defensemen from the Four Nations roster were retained.